good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the 19th episode of the FPL Wire ahead of Game Week 20. I'm your host Zophar, and I'm joined, as always, by Twitter stat guru, big man Bakar. How's it going, Bakar?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Zoff. It's great to be on. Welcome to our guest Abdul as well, FPL Salah from Twitter. Um, as we all know, he's one of the main main FPL accounts on Twitter who posts the weekly odds for goal scorers and clean sheets. So it's a pleasure to have him on this week as well. How's it going, Abdul?
Yeah, all good. Having a good week this week, so good week to come on.
What was your score
Right.
like, Bakar?
I have 108 points this week. I took a -8 this week. I sold Martial for Antonio for a hit, so that went well. Other than that, I bought Salah in for Son and Suchek in for Zaha. So those were the hits that didn't really pay off, but I guess I had to buy Salah. I didn't want to go without him this game week. But 108 points is something I'm happy with, despite the De Bruyne triple captain fail. I guess I'd call it a failure because minimum I was expecting like 12 to 13 points. So I guess I was 4 to 5 points off from where ideally I would have wanted to be. But I mean, you can't predict injuries, so it's just one thing. Like you can just just let it go and move on. Can't be raging too much about it. One of those
For
things.
sure. So I see you're suited up again. Have you got pants on there, or is it like standard, Zoom attire?
I think you should be aware of the fact that this time you don't have late riser to protect your bag. It's we're on a level playing field
Oh,
today. So
why
I
not? Why
mean,
not? No, because
yeah. So I mean, if you throw stones at me, expect bricks to come your way.
speaking of stones, why I asked if you're wearing pants. I know you don't have wood, but I thought you'd be very keen to show off your stones.
Yeah, I had stones this week and Antonio, as I mentioned earlier. So those were my heroes, and I still have Watkins and Martinez left. So fingers crossed that they do well this week.
Right. So, guys, just a reminder, please, to like and subscribe as usual. And our usual host, as Bakar mentioned, late riser couldn't be on today due to a back spasm, but he's feeling a lot better and he'll be back on next time. He's on 85 points with 3 players to go. He's up to 1.45 million from 1.85 with all his chips intact. So before we proceed, I want to make a little bit of a comment on the hate LR has gotten recently on Twitter for punting on Werner. I mean, Werner got 2 points. The likes of Vardy, Salah, they got 4 points. It's not that big of a difference. I've seen a lot of negative, spiteful comments towards him, on his Twitter feed, and I just don't understand the Schadenfreude. So, there's so much negativity there. I applaud anyone who trusts their instinct, and if it doesn't pay off, fair play. At least you tried. You got to trust your gut. Do we want everyone to pick the same players, not stick to their instinct? I don't think so. Just remember that there's a human at the other end of the screen, and somebody putting their head up above the parapet, announcing their moves in the public eye and taking risks. We should back them, not be negative towards them. So just be kind, guys. Sorry, now Abdul. Just to get to your week, I think you had a monster week. What was your score like?
Yeah. Firstly, just get well soon to LR as well, and totally agree with what you said there, Zoff. Mirror everything that you said. Yeah, my week. I'm having a great week so far. Like best week of the season by miles. So I'm on 132 points. Played my bench boost, but I took a -4. Sorry, I took a -12, which was 4 transfers, and they all worked out amazing. I took out Lowton for Stones, Kane for Antonio, Son for De Bruyne. Obviously, that was a bit of a not the best move, but as Bakar was saying, not something that you can really predict. And also Balbuena for Diaz. So yeah, the hit worked out perfectly. My bench boost has got 20, and I've got Watkins still to play. So yeah, really strong week, and I've gone from 18k to 5k with Watkins left. So yeah, I should definitely stay within the top 10k when the game weekends.
You're having a monster season, bro. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think this season, especially
Not too
with
bad.
everything that's going on, to be high up there is very commendable. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.
I'm on night.
A lot
Sorry.
of the way as
Yeah,
well.
yep.
A lot of
I think you can easily make the top 500. I'm confident you will.
Hopefully, man.
I'm sure.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. So I'm on 98 points. So and with a -4 hit, Salah triple captain didn't work out, but I'll be happy to hit 100 points. I'm moving up to like 112k now from 130k, so it's not too bad. I think I can still get in the top 10k even with the triple captaincy fail. So before we start, a quick word about our sponsors. DreamSetGo is a global portal for fans to gain access to sporting events around the world. Accommodation, flight tickets, hospitality, stadium visits, everything can be tailored exactly to your requirements. They also do celebrity experiences, which include masterclasses with your favorite sports celebrity, or something as simple as birthday shoutouts. You can find the links to the products in the description below. The FPL Wire is a part of the Fantasy Scout Network, and all stats used in this podcast are taken from the FFS members area. Please sign up if you haven't already.
Also, just to let you guys know, DreamSetGo is in the midst of tying up with a lot of big football clubs at the moment. They have some exciting offers lined up. In case you want access to their hospitality and travel packages, kindly fill the Google form in the description with your details. There's a lot of celebrity and pitch side experience offers coming in.
Right. So let's get started right away. Today on the agenda, instead of bringing Bakar stats, we're bringing you the good stuff right at the beginning. We'll be kicking off with some very interesting numbers on Grealish, Souček, etc. Then we will be having a look at fixture swings, KDB replacements, premium and budget. We'll be taking a closer look at Man United, Crystal Palace, Man City, then fixtures, captains, teams, and the Q&A. So Bakar, you're up top. Take it away.
Yeah. So I have, like every week, I have 3 stats coming your way. So these are 3 very commonly asked questions this week. I'll start with the impact of Antonio on Souček's numbers, because Souček was hot property heading into this game week, this double game week, and he was bought by a lot of managers. So who were left particularly disappointed because he didn't even record a single shot in either of the 2 favorable fixtures against Burnley and West Brom. So I looked deep into his numbers with and without Antonio. I ran a comparison to see how he fares. So with Antonio, Souček is averaging 72 minutes per shot inside the box, which drops to 60 minutes per shot inside the box without Antonio, which suggests that his goal threat is slightly better without Antonio in the team. Similarly, the minutes per big chance drops from 360 minutes per big chance with Antonio to 198 minutes per big chance without Antonio. And the penalty area, minutes per penalty area touches drop as well from 36 to 27, which suggests that Souček is carrying a more direct goal threat without Antonio in the team rather than with Antonio. Now, however, it's important to note that the drop in Souček's number with Antonio might not just be because of Antonio alone, but it could be because of the fact that West Ham have adopted a different formation of late without Masuaku in the team, and there were times when Noble was playing, so Souček was playing a bit more advanced, but now he's playing as part of a midfield pivot. In my opinion, this has significantly reduced his open play threat, and what's worrying was to notice that he had a deeper position than even Declan Rice in the West Brom game, which is extremely worrying. Personally, I own Souček, but I don't see too many points coming his way. It's a combination of all of the factors that I've mentioned, and that's one of the reasons I have him on my bench against Palace, because I don't think, other than set play threat, he carries too much of a goal threat these days.
It's a bit.
So the second stat. Yeah, sure.
I thought we can just have a quick discussion on this. Like, as somebody who's owned Souček for the last 5 to 6 weeks, I was quite alarmed by how, he wasn't really getting into the box at all these last 2 matches. And earlier, it was not just set pieces. A lot of time, they'd play the ball to the fullbacks. Souček would charge forward and linger around the box. That wasn't the case for the last 2 games. You noticed something, Abdul? I know you got Souček as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, as you said, he wasn't making those kind of late runs into the box like he was usually, like those Fellaini type runs. Yeah, and again, I think personally, I think it's more to do with the formation change, as Bakar was saying, rather than Antonio. And yeah, and they've been playing well over the past few games, so I don't know if Wise is going to change anything up. So yeah, as a Souček owner, I mean, it's not good news. But I mean, it's not really alarming either, because he's only like, I think it's 5.2 million. So again, he could just be benched, or if you're using him as your 4th mid, then You can get Rafinha as a replacement, but yeah, I definitely have noticed a downturn in his numbers, um, and his output. Yeah,
Because I'm using him as a seventh attacker, so something I need to look at. So I was thinking pretty much, playing him every week lets you afford like four heavy hitters.
exactly.
Did you still plan on continuing with the same strategies
I'm
off?
quite perplexed about that because the fixtures. The thing is with Suchek, right? You can't really predict when his returns are going to come. You can't look at an easy fixture and be like, yeah, this is when he's going to get his score. So if you really want to
Exactly.
get his returns, you have to play him every week or just hope that the week he scores,
Exactly.
he's like so it's not very clear cut. I think I'm going to give it one or two more games
Fair
and
enough. Fair
have a
enough.
look on the eye test. Please continue.
Okay. So the second comparison I have for you this week is a very similar one to the one I made with Suchak and Antonio. This is regarding Grealish and the impact of El Ghazi on his numbers. So a lot of people are asking about Grealish this week because they're looking at him as a De Bruyne replacement, and he's a decent mid-priced asset. So this question is very frequently asked this week. So I dug deep into the numbers again, and I ran a comparison. Of Grealish's numbers with and without El Ghazi in the team. So without El Ghazi, he is averaging 43 minutes per shot inside the box, which rises to 56 minutes per shots inside the box when El Ghazi is playing. So it's clear that the frequency of shots decreases when El Ghazi is playing. Um, Minutes per big chance they reduce significantly from 450 minutes with El Ghazi in the team, 450 minutes per big chance to 198 minutes per big chance without El Ghazi in the team, which basically suggests that Grealish his big chances go up twice as much without El Ghazi because he carries the main threat. So, but however, it's important to notice that while Grealish's numbers drop, goal threat numbers drop when El Ghazi is playing, he takes on a more creative role, as can be seen in his creative numbers. He's averaging 70 minutes per chance created with El Ghazi in the team as compared to 31 minutes per chance created without El Ghazi. Similarly, for every big chance created, he's averaging 90 minutes per big chance created with El Ghazi and 141 minutes per big chance created without El Ghazi. His minutes per penalty area touch take an impact too. With El Ghazi in the team, he's averaging 15.5 minutes per penalty area touch, and without El Ghazi is averaging 11 for minutes per penalty area touches. Simplest explanation of the given underlying numbers is that without El Ghazi in the team, Grealish takes on a much more direct role and is more involved in the opposition's penalty area, hence increasing his goal threat. With El Ghazi in the team, Grealish tends to play the role of a playmaker and allows El Ghazi to do all the shooting. I ran a further comparison on this to provide further evidence to our listeners and our viewers of El Ghazi's impact. So without El Ghazi in the team, Grealish is averaging 21.7% of Aston Villa's shots inside the box. However, during El Ghazi's spell in the team, that number drops down to 12% of shots inside the box, of Villa shots inside the box for Grealish. While El Ghazi is carrying the chief goal threat, accumulating 25.53% of the shots inside the box, which is actually very similar to the role that Grealish plays without El Ghazi in the team. So another point is that Grealish will also be on penalties now that El Ghazi is not in the team, or maybe looks to be out of favor. I'm not too sure about that, but this is something worth noting that if El Ghazi is out of the team, then Grealish is a far better asset to own. Do you have anything to add on
No,
this?
I think I totally agree with you. I think with Barkley playing, I think El Ghazi drops out, right? And Barkley takes up the number 10 role, leaving Grealish
Yeah.
to get on the left wing. So I think now we are going to see less of El Ghazi with Barkley out. What do you think, Abdul?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as soon as Barkley was fit and ready to go, El Ghazi was dropped. Even though he was playing really well, so kind of shows what Dean Smith kind of thinks of Barkley as a player and how important he is to the team. So yeah, I mean it's good. I think it's good news for Grealish owners because I think Barkley will keep his place and El Ghazi will probably go back to just being on the bench and getting cameos.
Yep, I agree. So we'll discuss that further once we get to the KDB replacement section. Let's move on to Barnes versus Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last stat I have for you is a comparison that I've run on Madison versus Barnes, which is another very popular question asked this week given Leicester's form, and their upcoming fixtures are really nice as well. They play Everton away this week, then they have Leeds and Fulham in the next two. So I mean, FPL managers are looking at their midfielders and Vardy with a lot of interest. So I ran a comparison between Maddison and Barnes of the previous 4 games. So I'm reading out of the stats. Both of them haven't created a single big chance in either of the fixtures, which is a bit surprising. Where usually with Maddison, you see that he's creating a lot of big chances, but this season I noticed his creativity stats aren't exactly up there. For goal threat, Barnes is outstanding Maddison by a distance. Uh, his shots inside the box are 8 compared to Maddison's 3 over the past 4 games. Similarly, for big chances, Barnes has 3, Maddison has 1. Penalty area touches, Barnes has 18, Maddison has 9, which is half the amount of penalty area touches, which is kind of what you'd expect. But the expected goal involvement is, there's a huge disparity in the expected goal involvement as well. Barnes has an XGI of 2.36 in the past 4 games compared to Maddison's 1.1, which suggests that, Barnes is carrying a far more goal threat. And another thing I noticed that over the season, his numbers have been better than Maddison's too, who hasn't really been, accumulating as good numbers as you'd want from someone at that price. I know there's been a lot of talk about Maddison, but based on numbers and the fact that Barnes is he even plays, he has been playing 90 for the past 4 or 5 games. So I don't think he's at risk of being dropped even with the change in formation. So because of that alone, I think he's worth it over Barnes. He's slightly over Maddison, sorry, and he's slightly cheaper as well. So if I was picking one, I would go with Barnes.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing to note as well, Maddison, he scored 3 goals in his last 3 games with 3 shots on target. So, that's obviously unsustainable. So I think he has been. I mean, he's been playing well, but I think he's been quite lucky to get, the returns he has over the past 3. And as Bakar was saying, like when you're looking at shots in the box and shots on target, Barnes is miles ahead. And he's cheaper, so yeah, I totally agree with Bakar saying. Barnes is probably by far the best option.
Yeah,
over Mads.
I still can't believe Vardy didn't get a single attacking return for 4 of Leicester's goals.
I mean, that's despite having a conversion rate of 55% in the season. His owners were really robbed this week. They were highly unlucky.
Right, I think I read something about Rodgers. He wants to reduce the goal threat on Vardy also, right? Maybe that's why he's changed things up also a little bit. He's asking his midfield to score more goals.
I mean, his numbers were seriously impressive this week. So I was very surprised to see him blank for 2 consecutive game weeks, which is not something you see with Vardy because he's someone who's usually clinical. Once he gets a few chances, he usually takes them.
Yep.
This week he had like 8 shots inside the box and 2 big chances, which is usually unlucky. I guess the play is to keep him for Everton and Leeds, but I mean, this is a tough one to swallow for Vardy's owners.
He created 2 big chances as well, so I mean, yeah, I agree. He was really unlucky not to come out of that double with
I mean, if you look at the highest scoring players of the week, you'd see like 5 or 6 Leicester players in there, and like it's shocking to see Vardy missing out on that.
You're right, the dream team had like 5 or 6 Leicester players in there.
Yeah,
crazy, cool. So let's move on now to the next section where we look at the fixture swing. So what has happened with the double game week, right, guys? So there's been a very strong template now that's formed because we naturally all bought the players who had doubles. So I think we need to have a look at the fixture ticker now to see who we want to keep and who we want to drop. So right at the top, we have Crystal Palace. We'll be discussing them and Man United in the later section. We got recently news that DCL is fit. Is he on your guys' radar? Any one of you?
Personally, I'm not eyeing him up. I'm not eyeing him up. His numbers had, reduced significantly even before he got injured from game week 12 to 17, I think it was. I did a piece on that as well in this week's review. And in general, Everton haven't been creating too many chances of late. So I'm not looking there personally because I think there are better options out there, such as Antonio, who's cheaper and he's doing really well. He's in form. So I won't be going there personally. If I had him, I'd keep him. But if you don't own him, then I won't be buying him. I won't be in a rush to buy him.
Abdul?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, his numbers were reducing, but even if his numbers were the same, I mean, I think there's too many other options out there. I mean, you've got Bamford, you've got Antonio, as Bakar said, and you've also even got Watkins, who might have a double game week coming up. So, yeah, I mean, mean, when you look at his price as well, he's about $1 million more than the three players that I mentioned, and I don't think he's a better fantasy asset than the players I've mentioned as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's any room for DCL. As Bakar said, if you've got him, then you've got to keep. But if you haven't, then yeah, he's not attracting me at all.
I don't necessarily agree with you guys because DCL's friends are all back now. You have Dean who's back, James is back, Richarlison is fit. I'm quite tempted by DCL because if I go with let's say KDB to Grealish, I might upgrade like my third striker to DCL. And because the fixtures are there, right? You see they have Leicester, who's not an easy fixture, but then they have Newcastle and Leeds. On paper, Newcastle and Leeds is really tempting.
Who's your third striker?
Keenan Davis.
Who are you gonna?
Keenan Davis.
Oh,
So Keenan Davis, of course. I mean, it's in your position, I think.
yeah, that'll allow you to bench Souček, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
So something like that. And plus, as we get, so there's some things with the doubles also. We have the permutations here. Saints will have a double in game week 23 if they lose to Arsenal in the FA Cup tomorrow. Villa are likely to have a double in 23 if Everton lose to Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup. And Man City are likely to have a double in game week 24, 26 and 27. This is all as per Ben Crellin's Twitter. So this also factors into it, right? If Everton have a double, then definitely I don't think you'll look anywhere other than DCL.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but if Everton have a double, then Villa have a double as well, don't they?
Yep. That's who they'll be playing.
Yeah, I think honestly with this, I think it depends who you've got. I mean, if you've already got a Bamford, like for example, I've got Bamford, Watkins, and Antonio. So Bamford and
it's tough to find room.
And Watkins already have a double there. So, but in your position, it definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense to bring them in. But yeah, I guess it's just team dependent.
Right. Let's have a.
And I think you're right about all the players being back as well. Because I think Dini is back fit as well, which is a huge plus for DCL. Because I think 5 of his 6 assists have all been for him. So yeah, I mean he's not a bad option, but yeah, as I said, I just don't feel that I've got room for him.
So I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on Villa's fixture. Right? They're 4th on the fixture ticker, but I don't think the fixtures are as easy as they look. They're Burnley away, which is not easy. It's marked in blue over here. I'd never look at Burnley as an easy fixture for an attacking team. Then you have Southampton away, who are doing all right. West Ham have been decent defensively. Arsenal have been decent defensively. Do you think Villa deserve to be 4th on the ticker here?
I think these fixtures are deceptive. I agree with you. Burnley away, Southampton away can be tricky. West Ham at home is a fixture I think that might be good for Villa's attackers. And then Arsenal at home is another tough one to call. So these are the kind of fixtures where if I had Grealish and if I had both of them, I'd probably sell one. But I won't mind holding one through this run.
Right. Abdul?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm happy with just Watkins. I mean, again, I think at the moment, if you look at the other teams with fixtures, there's probably better options to go for than Grealish at the moment. Because yeah, Burnley away is definitely not a blue, as as stated in the fixture. And then Southampton away is tough as well. I think probably Arsenal's probably a decent game for them, but West Ham again a tough one to call. So yeah, I mean if I had it's one of those, if you've got the Villa players, then you keep them, but you wouldn't really want to bring them in for these fixtures when you're looking at teams and other fixtures.
I'm quite conflicted about Grealish. Then you have Chelsea who have decent fixtures. We are not going to talk about Chelsea right now. I think we can just skip that. Fulham have some decent fixtures. I think Lookman's worth a shout if you're looking to maybe take the KDB money to get Kane. Fulham have Brighton away, West Brom, Leicester, West Ham and Everton. And they've looked good.
They've looked good, but I mean when you're looking at his price of 5 million and you've got Gundogan at 5.5 for example, I don't think there's going to be any shortage of money in getting Kane. When you're getting rid of KDB for one of these budget players. I mean he is a good option, but I just think there's better options out there, which will allow you to bring Kane in as well.
That's fair.
But,
he
has been impressive.
I totally agree. I mean, I prefer someone like Gundogan or even Saka over Lookman. I think Gundogan and Saka are legit options these days, and they provide better value.
What do you think? I think about Leicester's fixtures now. Everton away is not the best, and they have Leeds, Fulham, Wolves, and Liverpool.
So so Fulham have improved defensively of late, but I can still see Leicester scoring. So yeah, regarding Leicester, I did some research on them, and uh, they're the hardest team in the league to read personally for me. So for someone who does stats week in week out, I find Leicester incredibly hard to read. So this is an interesting one for you. Leicester aren't in the top 10 for XG at home this season. They're second best for XG away from home this season. But despite the fact they're second best for XG away from home, they're not even in the top 10 for non-pen XG away from home, which just tells me that they lack open play threat at home and away from home, and they're just getting a lot of penalties, which is inflating their XG. Um, so I don't know how to read them personally. I mean I'd like Vardy for these fixtures, but I personally won't be considering any of their midfielders.
Not even Harvey Barnes.
I think there are better options out there like Gundogan. I would honestly go Gundogan over Barnes.
Abdul?
Yeah, I agree with Bakar as well, because when I do, I mean, if you look at they've scored 35 goals this season, right, which is so they're third for most goals scored. So it's only Man United have scored 36 and Liverpool have scored 37. So the goals are there, but again, I think it's the way they play. I mean, if you look at their shots in the box, shots on target, they're like 11th and 12th. So when you look at them just purely on stats, attacking stats, they don't look very impressive at all. But it's just the way the counter-attacking kind of football that they play, and they've been really clinical as well. We know Vardy's quite a clinical player on the whole. So yeah, I think it's one of those teams where, as Bakar said, I totally agree. It's a really hard team to call, and I mean, sometimes when they've got the tougher fixtures, it's better for them, because they're kind of they're soaking up the pressure, they're hitting on the break. So yeah, I don't like owning Leicester players, to be honest, especially Vardy, because they're just so unpredictable. You don't know, whether they're going to perform over their tough run or their good run. But yeah, it's just one of those kind of anomaly teams where the stats don't look good, but their actual output is.
So I'm the second in the table, so they're definitely doing something right. I don't think the fixtures are that bad, to be honest, because Everton away might not be great, but you have Leeds. I'll back them to. I think Leeds is the perfect team for Leicester to attack. At Fulham, I think they could get a few. Then you have Wolves, right? Wolves can't defend to save their lives anymore, and Liverpool were in a similar situation. I'm quite tempted by Harvey Barnes.
So Barnes could be a decent option. But I personally don't prefer him. I'd like to add 3-4 more points over here. Firstly, I'd like to say that Vardy, his numbers over the season have been great. He's top for big chances, and he's someone I'm eyeing up for captaincy next week if I buy him, because next week there isn't any standout captaincy option this week, and I think that the way Leeds play, they're absolutely tailor made for Vardy, and I think that Vardy can go big against Leeds. In the reverse fixture, he accumulated 14 points, if I'm not mistaken. So I know that Leicester will have a good time against Leeds. So buying Vardy, I don't even think this fixture against Everton is a tough one for them. I can personally see them scoring this week as well. I think the fixtures are nice. The next 3 or 4 game weeks are nice, but if I was buying an asset, I would definitely look at Vardy personally because of the captaincy factor as well. And another thing to note is that their fixtures are actually ideal for someone who's wildcarding in 25, because we plan, like me and Zoff and Late Riser, we have our initial plan was to wildcard in 25. So Vardy allows a perfect route, for a short-term gamble. He's ideal for as a big upside pick. He's someone I like.
Absolutely. That's why I sorted it only for the next 5 matches. We have the ticker now only up to 24 now. Let's have a look at the bad. Which teams are at the bottom end of the ticker? Which players we should be looking at? Now, you see Liverpool. Liverpool. Where do we start with Liverpool after last night? Shocking. How many matches is it now? 4 matches or 5 matches without scoring a single goal? I think 5 matches, one goal scored, right?
Yeah, I think it's 2 goals in the last 5, I
And
think.
who would have thought of this after they scored 7 past Palace?
Yeah.
It's shocking. So yeah, their fixtures read Spurs away, West Ham away, Brighton, City, Leicester. But I think all three of us have Salah. I don't think any of us are looking to get rid of him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's his,
I don't plan to.
yeah. I think it is.
Yeah, so just to correct myself, yeah, it's 1 goal in the last 5 they've scored. And yeah, I mean, I think, especially now with injury to KDB, yeah, I think he's a keep. I mean, even without KDB's injury, I mean, I don't think I'd be getting rid of him just yet. I still think, you know, as I say, you know, class is permanent, form is temporary. So yeah, I'd be sticking with him.
So now next move on to Spurs. Now Spurs are second bottom here, but I don't agree with that. The fixtures are Liverpool, Brighton, Chelsea, West Brom and Man City. I think the first 4 fixtures are really good. I think they can get points against Liverpool.
Yeah.
They can get points against Chelsea. Brighton and West Brom, their captaincy options.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I thought the exact same when I seen those fixtures. I thought they're not as bad as they look, because Liverpool, it's a perfect time to play Liverpool just now, and Spurs are going to be at home, so they're going to be right out for that. And we know Mourinho's record against bigger teams as well. You know, he always kind of pulls it off in the bigger games. I think Brighton's a good fixture. Chelsea have been terrible
That's what it is.
lately. So and yeah, the only tough fixture there is Man City, really.
Which again, they could get something on the counter. Like, you know, I still don't back. I see that's a one game
Yeah, exactly.
that they
Yeah.
could do something as well. So
Yeah, next 4 fixtures, I agree. They're decent. I don't think they look deceptively poor, but I think they're actually good. I think they're good fixtures, particularly for someone like Son who's going to have fun on the counter. I can see him doing well against Liverpool with Son exploiting the space in behind Trent on the left. I can see goals in there. And Liverpool away from home haven't really been solid this season as well. They're conceding like 2.33 big chances per game away from home this season. So defensively, they're shaky away. I can see this being a good game for Son in particular. So yeah, I don't think those fixtures are bad. The only poor fixture is probably City away in 24. But other than that, I see points in them for Son and perhaps Kane as well.
there's a great article by Cruise Control in the community section in Fantasy Scout, where he talks about the value of attacking double ups. So Son and Kane have played a part in 75% of Spurs goals. Can you imagine that? So this, in terms of attacking double ups, there's nothing better in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't own either at the moment, and I was thanking my lucky stars to see them not score as heavily as I thought they would when I saw that the score was 3-1. I expected more points to come their way because their involvements are so high. But I mean, the Son's numbers in particular are so good. We'll speak about it in detail later on as well. But I won't be getting rid for sure, despite the fact that the fixtures don't look as great on paper.
So that table is ordered by how much of a percentage have the team's top 2 scoring assets counted for their goals. Man City is only 35% compared to Spurs 75%. So that shows Man City spread the goals around. So
Precisely, unpredictable, extremely unpredictable. You never know who's going to be the big fish in the pond. Without De Bruyne, it's all hearsay. I mean,
precisely.
there are people talking about Gundogan, Foden, Bernardo. Yes, sure, I'm sure they'll score goals, plenty of goals against West Brom, Burnley, Sheffield United, but who will get them? I mean, it's your guess is as good as mine.
Absolutely. Let's get into that section now, the KDB replacement. So I'll just read out some stats I have here real quick. So now this is XG non-penalty for the last 4 matches, not the 4 game weeks. We've taken 4 matches here to account for certain teams playing doubles, etc. I was shocked to see Aubameyang up top. I did not expect that. 2.94 non-penalty XG over the last 4 matches. Either of you guys tempted?
No, not me personally.
That was quick.
I don't like it.
That was quick.
not with their
I'm a
fixtures.
slate riser already.
Yeah, the fixtures kind of big no-no for me, especially with all the other options as well. So yeah, I'll be giving that a miss.
It's interesting. The decent numbers. 11 shots in the box, 4 big chances. He's definitely getting back into form. And now let's talk about Son.
Yes.
Son's numbers are very impressive. He's got 6 big chances in the last 4 matches. And I think he scored, I think maybe one or none of them.
Last 3 matches actually.
I think it's the last 3 game weeks, maybe because it says here last
I
4
think
matches. Okay, maybe last 3, maybe the 4th game he didn't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. Last 3 matches: Leeds, Fulham, and Sheffield.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 1 against Leeds, 4 against Fulham, and 1 against Sheffield.
Okay.
So yeah, that's 6.
I believe in the last two league games he's had 5 big chances in the last 2 league games, and 6 shots in the box. So that just shows you. And you seen he hit the post last game week. Who was that? Who would have played
Sheffield.
last week?
Sheffield United.
Sheffield
Yeah.
United hit the post
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I mean, he's been unlucky not to come away with more points over the last few. So yeah, I think he's definitely the top replacement for KDB. Again, if you look at the fixtures and the form of the player, I think Son's right up there.
I absolutely agree. I think, if you don't own Son, I think he's the possibly the most no-brainer replacement for KDB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, avoiding Son, despite having the option to get him for De Bruyne, if you don't already own him, is just overthinking, in my opinion, because he's just like his stats are just like screaming points. He's played thrice over the past 3 game weeks, and despite the fact that some other players have played 4 times, and he has a fixture less, and despite that, he's topping all the stats for
Yeah.
XG, big chances, which is
Yeah.
huge in itself. That he has he has a game less, and despite that, he's actually bettering other people, outscoring them, outmatching them for stats. So that's ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
I mean,
I don't have him, so I'm gonna go with
yeah.
Son.
To be honest, I wouldn't be against if somebody wanted to get Kane in and
Double up.
they went KDB to Gundogan and then one of their budget strikers to Kane. I wouldn't be against that either. But I think for a direct replacement, like for like, yeah, Son's by far the best option.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned
Yeah.
the Kane thing because that's something I'm looking at, like maybe using the money since I already have Son, using the money for Kane up front.
The thing with that, Zoff, is that even though I don't really think that the Kane is a bad option, but don't you think that Vardy is more preferable because of the captaincy factor next week? I think I would go Vardy because of that factor.
That's a good point. I'm just worried
Yeah.
about Vardy's fitness, right? He's now with that hip impingement. So now we have the next 4 game weeks and 2 weeks. So with all these games closed, that's the security thing you get with the Kane and with Son, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to play almost every minute of those next 4 matches. That's a big factor.
Yeah.
I'm not that secure with Vardy.
Yeah, not anymore. I guess he was rested in the Christmas period as well, away to Palace. So he's a bit dodgy when it comes to minutes. I completely get that.
Right. So we have number 5 on the.
I think.
Sorry, Abdul, go ahead.
Yeah. So no, I just think just one thing to add when it comes to consistency, there's really nobody better than Kane this season. You know what I mean? He's got 12 goals and 11 assists, so he's a very safe option as well.
Absolutely. Right. So as I was saying, so Harvey Barnes comes in at number 5 for non-penalty XG. So like you said, he's killing Maddison completely in the stats.
Yeah.
In chances created, I think he's created 4 chances. So he's up there. His expected goal involvement is 2.36. KDB is 2.85. So that's pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah, he completely got overlooked this game week because of Souček. I mean, 99% of the FPL managers, they opted for Souček, and Barnes was overlooked. I kind of regret not looking more into Barnes this week. But I guess it's what's done is done.
His
now.
assist was so jammy too. For anything,
Yeah.
so jammy.
Yeah, I saw that, the NDD goal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So
I think that's quite a bit of hindsight as well, though, because when you look at Souček having the goals he scored in 2 home games, 2 really good home games against Burnley and West Brom, I don't think anybody would have gone Barnes over Souček.
absolutely, I agree.
But yeah, in hindsight, he was a good move.
So let's just have a look now at midfielders at 8.5 and under for the last 4 matches. In terms of expected goal involvement, Saka comes out on top. What do you guys think of him as an asset, Abdul?
Yeah, really good. I mean, he's only cost 5.3. He's nailed now in that Arsenal team, and I think when you're looking at him in isolation, he's a really good option. He's only, as I said, he's only 5.3, but I don't think he's a player you'd be probably bringing in just now just because of their fixtures. And if you're looking at kind of options that are similarly priced, like somebody like Gundogan is like a game breaker at the moment. You know what I mean? He's just the kind of, if you're looking into that price range, you can't really look past him. You can't really look past a player like Gundogan with the fixtures he's got as well. So yeah, again, good option, but not one I'd be looking to bring in.
Interesting. So I think there's a lot of talk about Gundogan. Let's just skip to the Man City section now, real quick, because let's discuss them first. Let's go. Man City. Yep. So in the last 4 matches for Manchester City, Gundogan leads the way for shots in the box. I think Bakar, he has the highest shots in the box of all mids, right? In the last 4.
Yeah, this was brought to my attention by Late Risers as well, who posted the stat on our chat. He said in the last 7 game weeks, Gundogan is actually top among all City players for shots inside the box, big chances, and shots on target. So the underlying numbers suggest that he's carrying the main, goal threat from City at the moment.
Yeah. Actually, from game week 13, that's when from game week 13 to game week 19, he's played every single game. He scored the most goals from all midfield. Actually, from all players, he scored the most goals, which is 5, and he's also had the most big chances, 6 of all midfielders. So
interesting.
That's from game week 13. So yeah, his stats have been, as I said, at the moment he's looking like a game breaker at 5.5 with those stats. Playing in that team, with the fixtures coming up, he's a great option.
Let's talk.
Yeah, and sorry,
I was just wondering now, we've seen this role for Gundogan with KDB in the team, right? We don't know who's going to be slotting in that KDB role. It could be Foden, it could be Bernardo Silva, it could be Mahrez. And so KDB had a tendency, what he used to do, he used to naturally drop deep. He's not a guy who likes to get into the box a lot, which allowed Gundogan more space to get forward. How confident are we that whoever comes into the team will allow Gundogan to do that? Let's say somebody like Foden, right? Foden's going to make those runs into the box. Gundogan might have to stay back in midfield and cover. So don't you think there's some uncertainty there?
Sure, it's all subjective. I'm not buying the City asset this week because I don't really know how they're gonna play without De Bruyne, and neither do I have a sample size to to kind of evaluate or assess or predict with any reasonable kind of assurance that how City are going to play. So this is a week where I'll watch City and I'll analyze how Gundogan plays, how Foden plays, how Bernardo plays, because everything we're saying is basically hearsay. We don't really know which way it's going to go. But having said that, if I was picking one this week, I would go with Gundogan because I think he's the most nailed on asset. Yeah, he plays 90 minutes more often than not. He's started 11 out of the past 13 times. He's been subbed on twice. He's averaging 5.1 points per game, which is great for a City asset. And the fact that he scored like 5 times in the past 7 appearances, which is why I prefer him. The thing with Foden is that he often tends to get subbed on, and I'm not sure. I can't say this with any kind of reasonable assurance or that whether he's going to be more nailed or whether the De Bruyne injury is going to have a direct impact on his minutes. Sure, he started the 5 of the past 6 games, but I'm still not convinced about him because he always seems like the kind of guy who's one bad performance away from getting dropped this season. So I would hold my horses before I comment or go there. Bernardo is another iffy one. I won't be going there either. He just seems way too much of a risk personally.
Your thoughts, Abdul?
Just one thing to add on Gundogan as well. He's on penalties as well now. He seems to be obviously with KDB away. I think he's going to be the first choice penalty.
It's not going to be Sterling.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Sterling. So yeah, a 5.5. I mean, he's just one of those. I mean, just like Booker, I'm not bringing any. I don't think I'll be bringing any City assets in myself. But if your team structure is in such a way where you can bring him in, he's quite a risk-free option. He's only 5.5. His stats are good. And again, we're not able to kind of determine what Pep's going to do, what position he's going to play him in. So yeah, if you can wait, then maybe it's worth waiting another week. But I mean, if you're looking to kind of jump on straight away, then yeah, I don't think.
See, the temptation is the West Brom fixture, right? Everyone looks at the West Brom fixture, and you'd want to jump on this week. So I can understand. What do you guys think
Yeah.
about Sterling? A lot of people, there've been a lot of questions asking for Sterling as a direct swap. What do you think about Sterling, Abdul?
It's not Sterling. I don't know. He's not been at the races this season. I mean, and Pep's dropped him quite a few times as well. I mean, he was one of Pep's kind of darlings over the past few seasons, where he was one of the most nailed players, in that City team along with Kevin De Bruyne. But yeah, so he got dropped in game week 18. I think he's been dropped once before in game week 10 as well. I don't know. Even when he plays, he just. I mean, to be honest, I've not looked at his stats properly yet, so maybe Bakar can fill us in there. But watching him play, he just doesn't seem.
Yeah, the stats aren't
the
great.
kind of same player as.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably tell by looking at him as well. It's just he just doesn't seem the same type of player. Not getting those positions in the box, in the 6-yard box, for the tap ins. So yeah, he's
He
not
looks
what I'm
short
looking at,
of confidence as well, looking at him.
Yeah.
Yes, saying that he was, but he banged in that top bins free kick, against who was it? Was it last game week or the game week before?
Palace.
Sorry, against Palace in the first game week of the double. Yeah, so I mean that was a good free kick, but yeah, I think on the whole I agree he has been looking short of confidence as well.
Yeah, while we're discussing this, news is just coming in that Pep has actually confirmed that De Bruyne is actually out for 4 to 6 weeks. So he's definitely a sell
So
now.
he's going to he's going to miss most likely the doubles also, which are coming. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
So he's done till at least game week 24, 25, I think.
Even longer, I would guess. Wow.
Yeah, because there's 3 game weeks in the next week, I think. Yeah. So we've got
exactly.
So
it'll be interesting to see how the City dynamic changes after this. Personally, I was as someone who's wildcarding in 25, I'm not even averse to the idea of tripling up on defense. I don't have Diaz at the moment. I have Cancelo and Stones.
Let's talk about that. I think that's
I have Cancelo and Stones at the moment, and I am not averse to the idea of buying Diaz as my third defender, particularly now that I know that I don't want De Bruyne until game week 25, and if I want him, I have my wild card. And the fixtures are unrealistically dreamy, as you can say on paper. As you can see, West Brom, Sheffield, Burnley in the next 3, so there can be, plenty of clean sheets to come. 1 goal conceded in the last 10. John Stones, the absolute legend, has scored more goals than he has conceded this season. He's an absolute G when it comes to FPL points of late. So I'm not averse to the idea. I might even triple up. I think there's value to be had over there because I don't really necessarily see a City attacker having the consistency that you'd expect from someone like a De Bruyne. Sterling is someone a lot of people are looking at, but I have looked at his numbers closely, and his volume of shots inside the box and big chances this season aren't as great, and they've actually gone down as compared to the previous years. I'll do a detailed piece on that in my review, but his numbers aren't exactly looking great. So I don't really think he's worth the price tag. Particularly when there are options like Son, Grealish to be had. I won't be looking at someone like Sterling with that kind of price tag. He's someone like an Aubameyang who's been there, done that, but hasn't really hit the heights this season.
Bit of a nostalgia pick.
So, nostalgia pick, exactly.
I'd have to agree. What do you think about this defensive triple up, Abdul? Do you think it's worth going into third slot into defense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, I don't think I'd go there though. With the defensive triple, I think I'd honestly prefer. I mean, at the moment I've got Diaz and Stones. So if I was to go for a third City player, I mean, I've been banging on about Gundogan the whole pod, but yeah, I mean, Gundogan would be definitely the one I'd go for if I'm tripling up in City. But I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, with those fixtures, you're probably looking at a fair few clean sheets. The next 5, probably 3 easy clean sheets there. But I mean, there's also the fact that when you are tripling up on the defence, I mean, is Cancelo still nailed to start every game? I'm not sure. I mean, I know he's had his rest, but I don't know. I just think he's got 4 fullbacks there. He's got Zinchenko, Mendy, Walker, and him, and so yeah, I still think there's a small risk, going forward with Cancelo as well. So yeah,
I think
my preferred three. My preferred 3, sorry, would be Diaz, Stones, and Gundogan. that'd be my
That's
top
interesting. So there are a couple of things, First of all, I think you need to have a lot of stones yourself to be fielding three defenders from the same team every week, right? Anything could happen.
picks.
A
Exactly.
freak event that could literally leave you on like 2 points. And I think what's going to happen now also that John Stones has not historically been a guy with great goal threat, nor has Ruben Diaz. But the X factor has been KDB's set piece delivery. KDB's set piece, like we saw the first goal that John Stones scored. Very few midfielders in the world could put in crosses like that. So that sort of takes away from the triple defense for me because I think this threat from set pieces is going to be much lower than it was before with KDB out. But
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's actually a good point you make regarding the fall in quality from set pieces. But the thing is, they get so many set pieces. Even this week, they got like 27 corners, if I'm not mistaken.
right, they have the
And
most corners. But the
that
problem is again, right,
that
that's with
was
De Bruyne mostly in the team. He was the one
yeah,
running
yeah,
the
I know, I
attack.
know. I know, but like that was still 10 more than what any other team managed. So they get a ridiculous amount of corners every week. So I mean, surely you'd expect players of quality to finally deliver some good crosses. I know the quality will go down, but the volume is so it's so high
Volumes there,
that I won't be like sort of too confident saying that the Diaz or Stones will sort of stop scoring or they'll have a decrease in goal threat. I won't be too
I
sure
think they'll
about
definitely
that.
have a decrease in goal threat. Maybe they won't stop scoring, this is different, but I think there definitely will be a decrease in goal threat because I think overall even they'll get fewer corners because of KDB not playing. Because ultimately, I don't think they'll be as fluent in attack. And there's also, I think, the Laporte factor you have to consider. Laporte's fit now. I think now you have 4 games in 2 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if Laporte gets a look in one of them as well. So there's possibility of rotation in defense. I think more so than there is with a Gundogan.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I know it's really kind of not wise to kind of predict Pep, but I really don't see him rotating the centre backs. I mean, he'll probably drop one of them this weekend, but for next game week. But yeah, I don't know. I just think with Diaz and Stones, as long as they're playing like that, I mean, it'd be quite a weird decision to drop one of them.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I don't. Yeah, I completely agree, and I don't think Cancelo is going to be a risk either. He's been playing very well. I mean, while we're at it,
He has
are we
been.
supposed to talk about his the fact that he was flirting with big points again and failed to deliver?
Again, he's a
Again.
rich man's
It was a
Lamptey.
KDB assist as well.
Rich man's Lamptey.
Absolutely infuriating week in week out. It's just like, oh,
But
I feel like tearing my hair out.
I think there is the absence of De Bruyne is going to mean more game time for Cancelo, in my opinion, because you see Cancelo comes into midfield a lot. He takes on that creative role. I think in the De Bruyne's absence, Cancelo is probably going to take on more of a creative responsibility. That's my personal feeling.
Yeah, maybe.
So
Maybe.
He did come on in midfield, didn't he, when he got subbed on in the Palace game?
and even in that cup
Came
game
on.
against Birmingham, he played him
Yeah.
at centre back, but he was effectively playing as a midfielder.
Playing as
He's actually created the second highest amount of chances in the City team after De Bruyne this season. So he's definitely going to be like the main creator. So I can see what point you're trying to make.
Right, because if you bring it, let's say now, like you guys, you have Diaz and Stones, you don't have Cancelo, then I think it still makes sense to go for the triple up because you could argue that Cancelo is like an attacker to a certain extent, right? He's
Yeah.
like a 5.8 attacker you're buying with who gets points for the clean sheet.
Yeah, I have Cancelo. I don't have Diaz actually. I have Cancelo and Stones personally.
Right, so I don't think it's that clear cut. Personally, so let's just do a roundup. So would you go into triple defense, Bakar? Put on the spot?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, particularly because I have a wild card in hand. Without the wild card, I won't do it.
Fair enough, Abdul.
I don't think I would, but again, I'm not against it. But for me, no.
So let's summarize your top 3 KDB replacements. Like give me, let's say 1 premium and 2 like let's say sub 8.5. Abdul, you first.
Premium is definitely Son. I think looking at his stats and his fixtures, I really like. Did you say two budgets?
Yeah,
did you
2
say?
budgets. Let's go like below 9.
I think I'd go Gundogan and probably Barnes.
Fair. I'd agree with those picks. I think mine would be similar. Bakar.
Yeah.
I go with Son as my premium. My second option would be Gundogan, and my third would be Grealish.
I think I sort of agree with you guys. I think Sun is an absolute no-brainer pick. It's really the simple decision. If you don't own Sun, get in Sun. Absolutely done. Below that, it gets a bit trickier. I guess I like Grealish. Basically, despite the fixtures, I think he's still Villa's talisman, and there's a lot to be said for being nailed on for 90 minutes over the next 4 game weeks, right? Because they're all so close. So I think Grealish should probably make it to number 2 and Barnes for number 3 for me. Zaha, let's just quickly touch upon Zaha. Good fixtures.
Yeah, but the problem is he plays for Palace, who are bottom for XG over the past 4 or 5 games, and it's not even that they're bottom. Their XG is almost half as much of that of the second worst team,
I did not know
which
that.
is Newcastle.
So they have
Which is Newcastle, which tells you,
wow.
all you need to know about him. I don't think I need to say anything
Half the
more.
XG of Newcastle is just cruel. There's nothing. There's no recovering from that. I have nothing more to say. Abdul, your thoughts on Zaha?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, good player. I mean, he's a good fantasy asset. He's on penalties now as well, I believe so. But yeah, just Palace are just terrible at the moment, and so many better options around the similar price range. So yeah, not for me.
So let's just quickly, while we are talking about Zaha, let's talk about Palace. And their defensive numbers have been decent over the last 4 weeks. Their shots conceded, they've conceded only 25 shots. That's one more than Arsenal, just 2 more than Leeds. And Mitchell is back now. You think Mitchell's worth investing?
If you're
Yeah,
looking
I
for a
think
placeholder, then I don't disagree with the idea of buying someone like Mitchell for that price. He's the only one who actually plays, but I won't actively look to buy him for as part of my defense right now. I still think there are better options to be had.
Interesting. Abdul?
yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a great option at his price. He's got good fixtures, but I think the way things are at the moment, I don't think any of the budget defenders are going to be seeing any playing time because you've got a lot are going to have double City at least in the defence, and then a lot of what Robertson. You've got your other like your Chilwells, so I mean, you're probably going to have a set 3-man premium defence now, especially with all that KDB money. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to keep one on the bench, for emergencies, then he's a perfect option, especially with his fixtures. I also think Target and Konsa maybe at their price, you can probably go for them as well. But yeah, I think at 4 million, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, but I still don't trust Palace in terms of my defense. Somebody like, you'd want to play regularly in with good fixtures. I probably don't trust Palace still.
While we're at the Zoff, there's news coming in that Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that Vardy will be out for a few weeks due to a hernia operation.
Aha. The news is flowing in today.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
News anchor.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
so who?
This is extremely unlucky for Vardy owners who'll have to sell him now.
Right, but I think
Mad season.
let's talk about it now. What effect do you think would have on Leicester's remaining assets? Immediately, Iheanacho comes into play, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
Inacho
think
isn't half the player that Vardy is, and
Absolutely.
I think their goal threat will significantly worsen. I remember them playing against Palace, and they lack goal threat. I mean, I think Barnes who scored in that game. I think so. Yeah,
I think Barnes will
but
actually benefit. I think Barnes is going to get
Yeah.
more game time with Vardy out because he provides that goal threat.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's got the best goal threat after Vardy, so if anything, he'll probably improve.
Do you think Madison might get penalties now?
He will definitely.
Yeah,
Tielemans.
that is something interesting because I
Tielemans,
did
yeah.
mention how many penalties
Tielemans.
Leicester tend to win.
But
I think Tielemans won penalties, Bakar, I think.
interesting.
Tielemans.
You think so? I'm not sure about that.
I'm not
Tielemans is
sure.
on
He
pitch?
took the last
I'm
one.
not sure either. Was Madison on the pitch?
I can't
mean,
remember, but Vardy wasn't on
We'll
the
have to
at
have a
that
look
time.
later because
But
I'm not
You have to
sure.
look at the fixtures, but he took the last one when Vardy wasn't on the pitch. So
Yeah,
check that.
the scout page suggests that Tielemans is on pens. Vardy, then Perez, then Tielemans. That's what the scout page says.
Yeah. And Perez is probably not going to get
Yeah.
any game time. So
Yeah, good shout. Good shout.
Yeah, good shout. Things interesting now. So our premium options are just getting shot down one after the other, right? There's hardly any premium options available now.
Exactly. And I was actually looking
Yeah.
at Vardy as a differential. So this is kind of annoying now. That you don't really have a go-to you don't have a go-to City asset even or a Leicester asset with their fixtures. So this is very annoying. I mean, you basically have to pick out of a lottery and hope that you win the lottery without having any indicators to back it up. So these are exactly the kind of moves which can make or break a
Right,
season.
you're buying the players who aren't talismans for their teams, right?
Precisely.
Like you're buying
Yeah,
Gundogan, Barnes, when their talismans are injured, so we don't know how the team is going to play. We don't know how the team will adapt. It's quite tricky.
absolutely.
Speaking of tricky, let's talk about Man United. The return of Pogba. Pogba's been on fire the last few games. I think his goal against Fulham, that was beautiful. The left foot strike.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of him as a KDB replacement? I think he completely slipped under my radar. Abdul, let's. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd be looking at anybody past Bruno for Man United just now. They've been playing amazing, but I mean, past Bruno, I'd probably look at Rashford. I mean, Pogba has been putting up good stats in the last few games, but I don't know. I don't think. I think I need to see a bit more from him. A bit more maybe next few games if he's still putting up the same numbers.
So the fixtures are very good.
Maybe look at
Fixtures are very good for Man United over the next few, and for XG non-penalty, Pogba is actually higher than Bruno.
Yeah, but I mean, most will already have Bruno, and when you're looking at the other options available, who are you going to get him for? I mean, he's around about the same price as Grealish, a bit more expensive. I mean, I wouldn't pick him over Grealish at the moment. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not convinced with him just now. I mean, he has been playing well. He's been playing the best he has, for a long time. But as a fantasy asset, he's still kind of in limbo for me with him. I don't think I'd look past Bruno. And then if I was to look past Bruno, it'd probably still be Rashford.
So you prefer Rashford over Pogba still?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. I prefer Rashford as well. Pogba, I still need to see more from him before I realistically consider him as an FPL asset. I think there are better options to be had. Rashford, Bruno is the obvious one. So I won't be going there. Even Cavani, is he someone I'm eyeing up? And I think if he can secure his spot, if he can keep on scoring, these crucial goals, then he'll be a brilliant option at 7.8. His numbers are always good whenever he plays. So he's someone who could be a huge differential when you sort of figure out that he's going to be playing.
Yeah, because I think his non-penalty XG is 2.2. You have Marshall the next at 1.41. Now you guys are talking about Rashford. Rashford's non-penalty XG last 4 games is just 0.26. Pogba's 1.08.
I don't think the role on the right suits him. I think he's far better
Yeah.
playing on the left personally.
I agree.
Yeah,
Agree.
which is why he suffers. So when Pogba plays on the left, Rashford on the right, that's not tailor made for him. Even when Martial, Cavani, or if they start together, then Rashford's going to be playing on the right, and that doesn't suit him. So I mean that's kind of unlucky because when Cavani wasn't playing, then Rashford was occupying the role on the left, which is when he was posting those stats that he was. Now that that isn't happening, his numbers have fallen, and I expect the trend to continue. I would still suggest keeping for the Sheffield United game because he likes playing against Sheffield United. I think he scored like twice or thrice in his previous couple of appearances against them. But after that, I would look to sell Rashford.
Because
I've seen quite a few mentions about Bruno's stats with Pogba as well. And in the last two, he's actually had he's had really good numbers, Bruno, while Pogba's been playing. He's had 8 shots, 3 shots on target, 2 shots in the box, 1 big chance, and 2 big chances created as well. So he's so his stats are still good with Pogba on the pitch. So just for those who were kind of worried about Bruno with Pogba on the pitch, I still think he's just as good as us with Pogba there as well. I don't think there's anything really in that Pogba kind of makes Bruno a bad asset.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Bruno is still a good asset, but I think Pogba sort of reduces Bruno's explosiveness to certain potential. Because you see over here on the numbers also, in terms of shots in the box, Bruno's just had 5. He's had most of his shots from outside. I think he's having fewer penalty area touches with Pogba in the team. But he's still a good option. He's probably now the best premium option with KDB out, Salah out of form. But I think there is some sort of...
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the last game he could have easily had like a few against Liverpool. He could have easily had at least a one goal and a few assists, I think, against Liverpool. So, yeah, just looking at from the eye test as well, he doesn't seem, a player who's kind of holding back or not getting forward. To me, he still looks as attacking as ever. But yeah, I guess time will tell.
But I think it could be a decent differential, because you have the likes of Grealish who's at 34, 35%. I like Pogba as a differential because he has the explosive potential. Right? You can see Pogba bracing in any game, get a goal and assist. I think he's a decent pick if you're looking to differentiate. Right. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures and captains for this week. I think first we have up West Ham. Let's leave that alone. Let's have a talk about West Brom, Man City. I think either of you guys looking at Cancelo captain? This has been talked about a bit.
No, I'm kind of averse to the idea of captaining a defender. I personally find it to be very risky. But having said that, I think that this could be an excellent shout this week. I personally am not going there because I think that I like the security of Bruno against Sheffield. I'm not going to be changing my captaincy this week at all. I'm not giving it any second thought. It's Bruno for me through and through. But yeah, as an outside shout, I don't mind Cancelo for those who are not looking at Bruno.
How many goals do you think City score at the Hawthorns?
I think they'll probably score thrice. I'll go for a 3-0 win.
Abdul?
Yeah, probably 2 or 3-0. I think they've always kind of struggled more for goals when they've not had KDB on the pitch. So yeah, they'll probably be, won't be as good as as with KDB, but they'll still win easily. In terms of my captain, same as Bakar, can't look past Bruno. Salah's got Spurs away, and obviously KDB's injured, so yeah, Bruno all the way.
I like Bamford this week. I think Steve Bruce is under so much pressure with Newcastle because of all his defensive outlook, right? I think against Leeds they're going to attack and they're going to get picked off on the counter.
I think Leeds.
I can see goals in that game.
Yes, sorry, Abdul, please.
Yeah, no, you go. I was just going to say I can see a lot of goals in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Newcastle Leeds is probably the hardest fixture to call this week.
You think so?
It's very, very hard to call because Leeds have looked tired in their previous few games. I'm assuming now that they'll have a bit of a rest, they'll probably be better off. So I'd expect them to beat Newcastle, but I can't say that with too much certainty. So I do expect a goal from Bamford, and I see a lot of talk on Twitter about a few people wanting to sell Bamford. A few people are getting impatient with Leeds assets, but I think this is not the time to sell.
I mean, maybe get rid of your Rodrigos and all that stuff, but Bamford is pretty much a season keeper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at his price and his stats, he's definitely a season keeper. I mean, he had 0 shots against Brighton in the last game, but I think that's just an anomaly. I think that was just like a one-off game for Leeds. And I think it'll be kind of business as usual against Newcastle. I think they'll just create chances. Bamford will get plenty of chances.
Yeah. He's on penalties too now.
Potential. He's on penalties too, exactly, yeah. Until he misses. Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's talk quickly about Chelsea Wolves. I'm very reticent to. I think Werner's going to start this one, and I think we might win. I think the one team I feel a little bit confident now, and these might be famous last words, playing is Wolves. I think they're all over the place in terms of their defense. So I'm hoping this is the game we can get Lamps some confidence, some bounce back. I think we'll win 2-0 against Wolves. You think I'm being optimistic?
No, I agree with your assessment. I think it's going to be 2-1 or 2-0 to Chelsea as well. Probably 2-0.
I don't know. I mean, I think you might be being a bit tad optimistic, in my opinion. See, Wolves are still a really decent team with really decent players. So, I mean, I don't think I've ever captained a player that's played against Wolves because just in the past have been so good defensively. They have, as you're right, they have been, kind of shadow themselves this season. But yeah, I just think it's a really unpredictable game for me. I think Wolves can easily, kind of make life really hard for Chelsea in that game. So yeah, it's not a game that I like to call, but yeah, good luck to you. So
thank you
this weekend.
So as you guys,
another thing on Wolves' defense is that I was actually looking at the numbers this week, and and the variance in data for goalkeepers and Patrizio was actually worse off for the variance between actual goals conceded and expected goals conceded. I see Ramsdale getting a lot of stick on Twitter and social media, but Patrizio is actually far worse off. And Wolves' defensive numbers away from home, they're actually second worst for XGC, with expected goals conceded. So I don't really think they're as good a defensive team, and I can see goals in this for Chelsea. Given Wolves' numbers and the fact that Patrizio, I don't really think is a good goalkeeper. Um, so yeah, that's why I think that this might be a good time for Lambs to finally come good this week.
So if you, I know LR is going to be watching this, keep faith in Werner for one more week, bro. He will deliver.
Yeah.
One more week. So Spurs Liverpool. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think Jose will fancy this. This is a good time to play Liverpool. I think Spurs will win 2-1.
Yeah, I
so.
completely agree with that.
I don't know, because he
2-1 for me as well.
But sorry, Abdul.
I think Spurs will win, but I just think it's a really hard game to call. I don't know if Jose is going to go for it, or whether he's going to sit back and then just try and catch Liverpool on the break. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a low scoring one. I think 1-0 Spurs. I think I'll go for 1-0 Spurs. I think it'll be one of those games where
one more game without Liverpool scoring.
Yeah, I think Jose will score and just shop, because he knows that's going to really annoy Klopp as well. So probably typical Jose.
Outside chance, you think punch Son captain if you want to differentiate here? I think Son captain is a decent shot. I'd like him more than Kane in this fixture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not a bad shout at all, to be honest. No.
Right. Let's move on now. I think before we do the teams, we just wanted to do a quick plug for our Patreon. So as you guys know, we have started a Patreon page where you can support us at patreon.com/FPL Wire. Our content remains free, and this is just if you want to support us. So shout out to our newest patrons. In the Jimmy tier, we have Kevin Muhirwa, Wendell Gomez, Gaurang Barot, Lonan Kenwright, and FPL General, who's our newest Patreon. And in the Oma tier, we have Greg Babinetz, who's upgraded himself from the Jimmy tier to the Oma tier, and Sa and Go. Thank you everyone for your support.
Thank you everyone.
Right. Let's now quickly discuss our teams before we move on to the Q&A. We have Late Riser's team up first. I'll just read it out. That he has Martinez in goal, Diaz, Target, Stones and Mitchell in defense, Bruno captain, De Bruyne, Salah, Rashford, Bamford and Werner. And I think his plan moves, I think he had mentioned he'll be going De Bruyne to Son and Mitchell to Cancelo. I think that's what he said in the chat, right, Bakar?
Yeah. Exactly.
Decent moves, I think, but I think he could even get away with without Cancelo this week. Maybe take the hit next week. Because I think Mitchell.
Yeah, but he's been eyeing him up for weeks, and I think this is a good time to get him personally.
Fair enough. Like we were talking about earlier, right? Cancelo is essentially an attacker, so
yeah,
he's a decent shout.
It's a long-term move, right? So it makes sense,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
well,
Even if it's
and he'll be getting him for Douglas, who doesn't play anyway. So it's a good long-term move, I think. So your team up next, Bakar.
Yeah, so I have Emi Martinez in goal against Burnley. In my defense, I have Cancelo, Stones, Robertson. Fernandes will be my captain. Salah, De Bruyne, who I'll replace. I'll probably get Son for the free transfer. My fourth midfielder is actually Smith Rowe, and I'm considering playing him over Souček because I mentioned the fall in Souček's numbers earlier, and Smith Rowe is someone who's been on form, so I think I prefer him over Souček this week. Up front, I have Watkins, Bamford, and Antonio. On my bench, I have Souček, Dyer, Gilman, and yeah. So my move is going to be De Bruyne to Son for the free transfer. I'm 50-50 on Dyer to Diaz for a hit, which would give me triple City defense, and that would allow me to bench Smith Rowe, and that would give me the 3 City that I need for the upcoming fixtures. But I'm not 100% sure on it. But it's something I'm definitely considering.
Isn't it overkill 3 City defenders and Robertson? Are you going to play a back 4? Or are you going to bench one of them every week?
No, so my fourth midfielders, my fourth and fifth midfielder are Souček Smith Rowe. So it's kind of like I shifted to a 4 at the back, and I don't mind that strategy personally.
Interesting, because you could probably use the money to upgrade your midfielder, right? Instead, like, of getting a defender.
Yeah, I still have like 4 million in the bank, even if I make the Diaz move.
Precisely,
So
because you have to keep in mind Arsenal just confirmed the Odegaard thing on loan, right? So Odegaard's probably going to be playing
yeah,
in the Smith Rowe position.
yeah.
That's
So that is something I have in mind. While we're discussing this, who do you guys think is the best captaincy option next week in 21? Who do you guys have are eyeing up for that? Are you looking at Son versus Brighton?
I think Sun versus Brighton is a good shout. Yep. Who are the other
Yeah.
fixtures? I haven't even looked, to be honest.
There's Man City are playing Sheffield United, so I guess you probably can look at. I think Gundogan might be in with a shout.
Can't really
But yeah,
captain
I mean, I
Gundogan,
think
right? I wouldn't feel
Yeah,
confident other than that.
Arsenal have Man United. Arsenal have Man United. West Ham are playing at home against Liverpool.
Ooh.
So that's a bit of an iffy one for Salah
It's
as
a
well.
tricky week then, because Salah against West Ham, I don't really trust in this current form.
Exactly. Son has Brighton away.
So with the fixtures, I mean, the way they're kind of set up this week, I don't think actually Gundogan would be too bad of a shout. But I do think Son is probably the best option away at home to Brighton. But
I'll bet any amount of
Salah-
money, Abdul, you won't captain Gundogan.
oh no, I won't even be bringing him in. But I'm just saying he might be a good.
Yeah, but
wee
I don't know. There's
shout.
something I just don't feel comfortable,
But-
about captaining. He's a good asset. Like, we don't like. It's just a shame that we've been deprived of a City captain option with ahead of such good three fixtures. They probably have the
I mean,
standout fixture next week.
the fact that Vardy is injured now, it kind of raises the appeal of Sterling, because someone like Sterling could be actually more captainable next week.
That's correct. Precise. That's a good point. I actually, who I think is
Yeah.
going to benefit from this. This much. My hunch is Mahrez. I think Mahrez might be playing that number 10 role.
But can you say that with any kind of conviction,
No.
knowing that it's Pep
Not
Guardiola
at
at the
all.
other
Not
end?
at all. I can say without any risk in buying him. Like how we made our free hit teams. You can take whatever hits you want. It's all academic.
Precisely. I mean, don't mess with Pep.
Yeah. I think we'll be podding anyway before next game week. So we'll have a look then.
Sure.
Abdul, you're up next.
Yeah, so I've got McCarthy in goal. I've got Stones, Robertson, and Diaz, and then I've got Salah, Souček, De Bruyne, who will probably become Son, and Bruno Fernandes as captain. And I've got Bamford, Antonio, and Watkins up front. So yeah, I think it's fairly easy for me this week, captain Bruno, and then get Son in for Kevin De Bruyne.
Interesting. So are you planning to keep Souček in that role? Like, I think you're also using him as a 7th attacker right now, right?
Yeah. I think at the moment, I mean, I've got Dallas, Kufal, and Anguissa on the bench, so I think at the moment he's in my starting 11. I'm gonna look more into the stats, etc. From Dallas and Kufal later on in the week, maybe the next few days. But yeah, I mean, I know he's had 0 shots in the past 2 games, but I don't know. I just think, he's just one of those players. He's, as you said, you need to play him. If you've got him, you need to play him every week to get his points, because you just don't know when they're going to come. So, yeah, I mean, if I was to bench him, it'd probably be for Dallas, and I'd probably.
I was asking more long term, because you're going to have some money left over, right? After you do KDB to Son, you could easily do something like Souček to Barnes next week.
I could do, yeah. I mean, I've not thought about Game Week 21 yet, but yeah, I think I could actually get Grealish in as well, if I get in Son. But yeah, I mean, there's so many options there, with the money left over. So yeah, it's probably something I'll look into next week. But yeah, as you said, I mean, the options we talked about today, types of Barnes, Madison's, Gundog, etc. There's a lot of options there. So yeah, I think it's good to wait another week as well, because I can have a look at City. And I can have a look at Leicester as well without Vardy. So
I agree. So I think the landscape has changed a little bit now with KDB out, Vardy out. There's literally nowhere we have to spend the money. So I think the Souček, the value of Souček has gone down a little bit as an enabler. You can afford to spread the money out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually a great point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think money is going to be a problem for anybody just right now.
Absolutely. So just go through my team real quick. I have Martinez in goal, Diaz, Cancelo, and Harry Maguire in defense. Salah, Suchek, Bruno captain, KDB, Son, Bamford, and Antonio. What would you guys do here in my position for KDB replacement? Abdul?
Hold on, let me just bring up your team.
It's,
Um,
it's a
you already got Son,
yeah.
yeah?
Got the four mids like you have Bruno, Salah, KDB,
Yeah.
and Son with Suchek.
All right, wow, okay. I don't know. I would be tempted to go because you've got Son and you've got Kane.
I haven't
Right?
got
So
Kane.
you've
I've
got the
got
two guys.
Bamford and Antonio.
Oh, sorry. All right, I think I've got an old screenshot
Might be.
here on the PowerPoint then. All right, so you've got Bamford and
Hmm.
Antonio. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you can very well, as you were saying earlier, you could do Gundogan and Kane in
I'm
for
0.1
2
short
days.
of that.
Oh,
Right,
It's
okay.
always the case, isn't it?
That's always the way,
always
isn't
the
it?
case.
So I can get Lookman in, but I'm not
Um,
that as convinced on Lookman, so I might have to skip out on Kane
yeah,
if I go the Gundogan
I mean,
route.
yeah, I mean, I don't think getting Kane's the end of the world for you because you already got a son. So yeah, I mean, I'd be tempted to go Gundogan in your position.
Yeah, same.
But,
I would get Gundogan for the free transfer.
Right. I think that's what I'm leaning towards as well. Maybe get in DCL or Ings, maybe in the coming weeks
Yeah,
for
fair,
the
fair.
striker
yeah,
position. 'Cause
I'm not sure as well when the double game weeks are going to be announced because I think the games are on this
I mean, the
weekend.
FA Cup
So
should actually give us an idea, right? We have the permutations. If Everton lose to Sheffield Wednesday
yeah,
or Southampton lose to Arsenal, we know they'll have the doubles coming soon.
on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just a fact of when they're going to be announced. But yeah, I think they'll probably be. I don't think they'll be too long after the weekend's games, to be
Yeah.
honest. So we could probably start
Start
preparing for
planning.
them quite soon.
So neither of you guys are
Yeah.
that keen on Grealish.
I like Grealish as an option personally, but I
Yeah.
prefer Gundogan over him. In given the fixtures.
That's fair.
Are you playing Zophar or Soucek this week?
Suchek. I always play the attacker over the defender, just as a general rule, because it's just more fun to watch, right?
Despite the fact that West Ham have looked better defensively and Palace's numbers have been beyond atrocious
I
lately.
don't know really, because like so the thing is with Palace is these are the kind of fixtures like I expect them to nick a goal or two against at home
Okay,
and all that stuff. And generally, attacker is much more fun to watch. Like you could have a clean sheet wiped out in the first few 20 minutes. You generally have the attacker to
fair.
cheer on.
I completely get it.
So just
Completely
as a rule,
understand.
I always play the attacker, and I never bench Suchek. So
And now that I'm
So
benching him,
you,
I'm sure you're gonna have a haul.
I appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah,
taking one for the team.
yeah. I can't wait to see more crap coming my way next week on the pod.
Right. Let's just move on quickly now to the Q&A. First question is from Pritesh Shetty. Which are the two nailed budget defenders to own considering other three premium def for the next few game week given the fixtures? Abdul, your best two budget defenders. Let's go for below 5 million.
I'd probably say with the fixtures coming up, probably Mitchell and Target probably, or Konsa, one of the Villa players. As I was saying, because just because there's so much money flying about and there's going to be three, you're likely to have three good defenders. The budget midfielders have less significance. But if you are still playing, the rotation, then I'd say Mitchell and a Villa defender are good at that price. Probably the best value going forward.
Fair enough. Bakar?
Yeah. First of all, thank you to Pritesh for sending in this question. He's a regular listener of the pod and a regular reader of my review. So your support is appreciated, Pritesh. I would go with Shaw as one of my defenders if I'm looking at a cheap one, and Mitchell. Yeah, those two for me. Shaw has the numbers. He's his chance creation numbers are good. It's just that he's you can never trust him with his fitness,
Injuries.
but as long as he's fit, I think he's a good option, and the fixtures aren't that bad either for Man United over the next 5.
Right. How much is Sufal? Sufal is still under 5, right?
I'd imagine so.
I think
Yes.
so. So if I'd be picking, I'd probably go Sufal and Mitchell.
Okay.
That's probably now next one.
All right.
Bakar is directed to you from Sanjay Krishna. Would you
Alright.
consider Vardy to Kane in any upcoming weeks? Oh, it's pretty easy now, right?
Yeah, I think that it's been answered by itself. I don't have to say much here.
Yeah, yes, that one's pretty much done. Now, Abdul, next one's for you from Mikey Chen. Are there times, this is a good question, are there times when it's time to let go of the sheep picks? Like, for example, at this point, everyone has Bamford and there's the mentality to never sell because his ownership is so high. I feel that gets in the way of own gut instinct and form. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, with the sheet picks, you probably, I think, maybe more kind of referring to the template.
Yep.
But yeah, I think if you're looking to get rid of one, like a high owned player, you need to be looking at a very good reason to get rid of him. Like, just for example, with DCL, there came a point where people started selling him because they saw his stats were on the decrease, and a lot of their players like Digne and Rodriguez were injured, so that was causing obviously a kind of downturn in his output. So yeah, I wouldn't be getting rid of these sheep picks because just for the sake of it. Because they're sheep picks for a reason. They're highly owned because they're most likely playing well. But yeah, I think if you're looking to get rid of them, then there needs to be a very good reason behind it. For example, with Bamford, he's had one bad game. I wouldn't be looking to get rid of him anytime soon at all. You need to look at his price as well, and his stats. So yeah, I think it's all kind of player dependent. I think you need to look kind of deeply into why you're getting rid of the player, and not just get rid of him just because everyone else has got him, and you've got about another player. I mean, if you want to play that way, it's up to you, but it's probably not optimal in terms of fantasy football points.
I think it's also dependent on maybe a fixture run, right? Like if you have to take a punt, like a lot of us did with Son and Kane, when they're entering a tough fixture run, you have to pick and choose your moments when to let those picks go. But
exactly, that's another reason as well with the fixtures. Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Bamford now has Newcastle coming. You don't want to sell him for that. So Bakar, anything to add here?
Yeah, definitely.
No, I don't have much to add here.
Let's move on. Next one is from FPL Ghost. I'll take this one. For the sake of future double game weeks, can we look at historical double game week data? For example, we all tend to load up on attackers with a double game week, but this double game week showed us that defenders killed it. Is that the case historically? Do defenders actually do better and thus provide value in double game weeks? I thought this was an interesting question because I do remember in the last few years playing, we've seen some massive hauls from defenders. We had Laporte, I remember, in the last City double. He outscored all of the other assets. In general, I think there's a good argument to be made here. If you want to get, let's say you get one attacker, one defender, the third asset should arguably be a defender rather than an attacker. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I can't remember too much about previous seasons, but from my kind of vague memory, I think on the whole attackers do much better, and I think this game week pass was kind of a bit of an anomaly with Stones getting 2 goals and Diaz getting an assist, and then the double clean sheets. So yeah, I think kind of going forward, I'd still stick to the attackers rather than defenders.
That's interesting, Bakar.
Yeah, goalkeepers tend to do they tend to do well historically as well in double game weeks. I remember quite a few over the years who've served me well. So here's to hoping Martinez can haul big. Still has time against Newcastle.
I think maybe I'm wrong here, but I think maybe for the mid-table sides, who don't score that many goals, and I guess this is always fixture dependent, right? You see, West Ham had the good fixtures where they got those clean sheets, and you have your 12 points for Zophar. I think it's very fixture dependent. If you see 2 easy fixtures, maybe then you can have a look at the defenders. See slightly iffy fixtures, then you look at the attackers. Something like that you guys think could work?
Yeah, I think so.
This is something we need to think about for the upcoming game week 26, because we're all going to be looking at the bench boost and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to be looking at getting some good defenders, and I spread my money about a bit.
Yeah, it could be a viable strategy.
Yep, something to think about. I
think you guys are bench boosting in the next double game week, aren't you? The next big one.
Yeah,
on 26. That's the plan. So
yeah, I think it depends on that as well, because I've already used my bench boost, so I'll be going for most of my money
The first
kind of
11.
pumped into the starting 11. Yeah, so yeah.
Makes sense, because I think I was reading something from Ben Crellin today. If there's a probability that we might have only 2 fixtures in game week 29. So I'm not going to use my free hit on 2 fixtures. So we
Yeah,
don't even know how that's going to play
yeah.
out.
There's
Yeah.
no point, is there?
Yep, it's going to be interesting. So the next question, Abdul, is like Salah now seems like a burden. Keep or twist. This is from Ruxin. What do you think?
Ericsson. Yeah, again, I just think with the KDB injury, I think you have to keep him now. I mean, who are you going to get? For him, you can probably switch to Mane or you can get Sterling, but I don't think the better options. I think he's kind of proven enough in the past to show that he's the best kind of fantasy asset in the game, and I think give him a bit more time, he should come
Why
good.
do you think he was benched yesterday? Do you think it's for the FA Cup, like Klopp said, or what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, before I kind of thought that maybe Pep was not Pep, sorry, Klopp kind of underestimating Burnley a bit. He thought he could win without them, but I think I was having a discussion with you earlier, and you said that it wasn't because of that. I think you thought he dropped him because he wasn't playing well, and you wanted to kind of show him that he's undroppable. So I don't actually know, but I guess we're just gonna have to take his word for it. He says he dropped him for the FA Cup game on the weekend. So yeah, we'll
I
see.
think the FA Cup bit is
But
total bollocks. He's like,
yeah,
he's flogged Salah numerous times before. He's played Salah 90 minutes every week, like 5-6 matches in a row. And there was this
Yeah, I don't buy that either.
There's this interview I remember reading around a week ago where Salah gave an interview. He wants to play every minute of every game, something like that. So I think this was just a way of telling
Yeah.
Klopp, you're not indispensable. You don't perform.
it's a power play basically.
Absolutely.
I think it was a power play.
And I think he accepted
But
that.
it didn't work out
He
for him.
accepted that it might cost him in the short term, but the long term, it's a message he needs to send to his entire squad that you guys have to perform.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, you could well be right.
but so I sort of think that his punishment, if you can call it, is it's out of the way. I think he's going to start every game going forward the next few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think you can
Yeah,
afford to keep punishing him by kind of dropping him. They're in a kind of bad position right now, Liverpool. So they need him, and they need him firing and on form.
Anything to add, Bakar?
No, I think he'll be straight back in. I don't think he's going to be benched anytime soon again.
Agree. Last question. This is from Shivam. With many people looking to sell Rashford, is it the best time to hold on to him considering that he got his rest and has easy fixtures? Also, is it worth giving Timo Werner another shot considering Chelsea play Wolves? I think we've sort of answered this already, right?
Yeah.
So we're all looking to keep Rashford at least for 1 week, and same for Timo.
Yeah, agree.
Cool. I think that's about it. Thanks again for joining us, Abdul. It's been a pleasure having you.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, it was a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on, guys. Appreciate it. Had a great time as usual.
Right.
Yeah, it was great fun to with you, and it was great chatting to you. Thanks for coming on, and get well soon,
Yeah,
late
no worries.
riser.
Get well soon, Ella.
All the best with
We
your
missed you
recovery.
today, and
Awesome.
we'll hope to have you back again soon.
Yeah.
Right. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. We will be back with you. I think next Thursday we have midweek games again, so we will probably be podding at the same time next week on Thursday. Goodbye from us.
Goodbye.
Right, cheers.